so in theme with what we're talking about today. So welcome everyone to our Healthy Happy Hour. We have a special guest here who we're going to be kind of interviewing and getting some tips. Her name is Mary. And I'll give you her intro here in a second. I'm Raina. I'm a holistic health coach, and I work with corporate burned out professionals, helping them figure out what kind of stress management, self-care routines, and techniques they need in order to have more balance, confidence, and productivity throughout their day. And I'm doing these healthy happy hours with my awesome co-host, Joelle. We met a few years ago at a gym. She was teaching my boot camp class.
Mm-hmm. Since 2015, I've been a personal trainer. Raina was one of my first boot camp attendees back in the day. And it's always been my passion to make wellness simple and enjoyable for the everyday person. As I've continued to learn and grow in my own practice, it's evolved to empowering others and finding their highest health esteem. And it's not about being happy when you're a size whatever. It's about loving yourself and your journey right now. And we want to make that easy. So that's what our mission is with this show. And yeah, it's going to be a good one today. Extra special.
Yes. Okay. So I'll go ahead and intro Mary real quick, and then we can share. If you guys have a beverage handy, get ready to just show us what you're sipping on. We always like to share whatever mocktail or drink that we're having, why we're having it. It could just be water. That's totally fine. So yes, let me share. This is Mary Alterman. She is a life coach, an artist, an avid reader, and participant in spiritual practices. She's done a lot of traveling, a lot of transformational work. She has a master's in education from the University of Nebraska. She's homeschooled her children, and she's worked as an art teacher and a writer. So she's come from a small town, and now she is just like, but that doesn't mean anything with her personality. It's huge. She's colorful. She's energetic, and we're so happy to have her here. And we're going to be asking her some questions just about aging gracefully today. That's our theme. Do you want to add anything, Mary?
Wow, is that me that you just?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. My life has been good. My life has been good. I love my life, and this is I've never done an interview like this before. I've been on a lot of Zoom stuff for different reasons, but they're going to ask me questions, and I'm going to do my best to be coherent and wise. But please, if I'm not, you have your own wisdom. So take whatever you can and leave the rest behind.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
What are you drinking, Raina?
All right. So I made a fun little cocktail today, mocktail for you guys. And I brought all my ingredients. I just wanted to share. So I'm doing sparkling water. And I'm doing like a tablespoon, apple cider vinegar. I just like throw that in there. And then I'm doing some Celtic sea salt, which has a bunch of trace minerals in it. So that's really good to help with like electrolytes and energy balance in the body. And then I love these little fizz sticks. These are energy fizz sticks. They have B vitamins, CoQ10, and a little natural caffeine boost from plants. So yeah, I put all of that together, and really the focus of this drink, it's, CoQ10 and apple cider vinegar helps balance your blood sugar and keeps those from spiking. Just kind of like mellows it out a little bit. So that was my intention with this. And apple cider vinegar tastes so gross, but honestly, when you mix it with sparkling water, and I like muddled an orange too. So like threw that in there.
Girl, you went super fancy. I think we like to swap when we do. One of us will go something really cool, and the other one's like, I have an Americano. But I did put collagen in it today, and that's just been my routine lately. I love that. It feels, I don't notice so much with my skin. A little bit I notice with my nails. I've finished like a month's worth right about now. But then I do notice that like the creakiness that I sometimes get from just sitting still when I have to, I avoid it at all costs usually, but I don't have that as much. Like those aches and pains, or like when you first start working out and you feel like, wow, I really need to warm up. That feeling has been like hardly at all, if at all. I can't really remember the last time. So that's been really great. And I found a oat milk creamer by Planet Oat, and it's my favorite one. I've tried all of them. I have a new favorite now in the Planet Oat one. So
I'm wondering if the collagen that you're adding, is that what you're thinking? Like it's just helping your joints feel a little more lubricated?
So I was thinking about that as I was getting to the bottom of the container. I was like, what has been the thing that I've noticed? And so I had like a little reflection. I'm like, that's been huge to just, or I've been doing a lot of hikes lately. I don't even really feel like there's no warm up. It just feels like I'm comfy doing this. Super good. Yeah.
Love that. Anyone else want to share?
Be drinking?
Water.
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 I have my fizz stick just like Raina. I mean, I'm not quite as big with two.
Oh, we're twinning with the blackberry. I love it.
Yes.
Okay.
Sheila, what did you have? I saw you hold yours up. Is that water?
I finished my protein shake that I used just post workout, and I used flaxseed and collagen. And I'll tell you what, my nails just grow like crazy. I think my hair is okay.
Your hair is gorgeous. Wow.
Then I switched off to water. So
yeah,
love it.
Sedona inspired water bottle. Just water.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes, love. Perfect.
Beautiful. We have such a hydrated crew. I'm here for it.
Amen.
All right, cool. Well, so normally with these healthy happy hours, we have subtopics. So we talk about some nutrition tip or practice, a mindfulness tip or practice, and then movement tips or practice. And so that's kind of, we're going to be asking Mary questions from each of those areas as well. So should we just jump into that, Joelle?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay.
All
right, you ready, Mary? Okay, so
well, no, not really, but okay.
Well,
I'm totally intimidated by you guys. I'm sitting here listening to all this thinking, wow, they're way ahead of me. Okay.
No, you're the one. You got this, girl.
Yeah, you told, like whatever you want to share.
Okay.
So in your experience, talking about aging gracefully, when it comes to nutrition, like what types of foods do you eat that you consider like anti-aging, or just like, make your body feel good? Maybe we don't even need to say anti-aging, but just make your body feel good. Is there anything?
Yeah, vegetables.
Vegetables, yeah.
Vegetables. We really, since my son is vegan, so we had an all vegan Thanksgiving a couple years ago, and we're kind of, my other son eats meat, but we've kind of like shifted so that meat is not the center of our meal, and sometimes not even in the meal. And we eat our vegetables like 5 servings a day or whatever that is. That's about as complicated as I get. I think I think one of the things that happens with age is, for me, I've simplified my life a lot, but I might pick up some of the things you're talking about.
Sure.
We'll see with time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would think like the past 20 years, what has been adding vegetables, obviously, or making sure that they're a priority, I'm sure is huge. But would you say that there's anything that has been notable changes in your body that you had to respond to?
Well, UTIs, a notable, that's not a change in my body. That's been going on for a long time. So,
sure, yeah.
And I'm just one of those people that has to deal with that a little more often than other women, urinary tract infection. And so I was drinking wine for a long time, like the red wine. And I've had to like cut way down.
Okay.
Because of that. And just have to be more conscious about sugar, because that can be a problem. So it's not so much, I mean, I take vitamins, but I don't, there's not a lot of different new things. It's
Sure.
it's mostly like kind of like towing the line. You know, it's like, okay, you got away with it for a long time, and you can't get away with the same things as you used to.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's really, that in and of itself though is incredibly mindful, right? Like, instead of, why is this happening to me? I have no control over it, therefore I just have to deal. Instead, you're like, oh, what is leading to this? And I think that is probably the magical part, the most helpful part when it comes to aging and being in tune with yourself. I love that.
It's like the consequences, you know, have been around long enough that you're finally listening and
That's awesome.
and yeah, but I don't, you know, I also don't like to emphasize too much like being the good girl. I mean, that's no fun, you know.
You want to have balance. Yeah.
Yeah, have balance and be light about it. I still eat ice cream.
Yeah.
Not as much.
Yeah.
I mean, not as much, but I eat, we sometimes couple times a week eat little servings of ice cream, you know.
Do you guys tend to eat like the same types of foods, or do you eat like pretty much the same things every week? Or
Well, this week we have a guest from India and she's been feeding us. So yeah. Yeah, well, so that's hard. So I'm gonna just jump in with Blue Apron. It's almost like talk to them about getting a sponsor for you guys, because we started with them a few years back, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with it. That and I think Hello Fresh. We've tried those two things.
yeah, the
And
meal delivery services, where you can
and they're really,
make it.
and my husband has turned into a cook because
That's
of
so
it,
cool.
you know. And it's just full of vitamins and vegetables and you know, it's pretty health conscious, I believe. Yeah. Although I don't know, if you guys were to look at it, you might find I didn't even know what collagen. What is
Collagen?
Am I pronouncing it right? I was like,
Collagen.
Oh God. What?
Yeah, collagen.
Collagen.
It's like an amino acid that helps build our hair, skin, and nails. And it also is really good for our joints as far as like lubricating them. Yeah.
We both have knee replacements. So so maybe it's too late. No, I'm joking. But that's interesting though. Okay.
That's why a lot of people drink bone broth. There's a lot of good things in bone broth, but one of the main focuses often is collagen, because it's natural occurring.
Okay, that's great. That's what I mean when I say this give and take between generations is so important.
Yeah.
You know, it's you know, you have things, you know, that are like barely registering in my world, you know. Yeah,
we're all here to learn from each other though.
What's that?
I said we're all here to learn from each other.
Yes, we are.
Yes. And like I would say, along with what you're saying about eating a lot of vegetables, any type of produce, really, like looking at fruits, you know, red peppers, papayas, blueberries, spinach and broccoli, nuts, all of those things tend to have a lot of fiber, which is good for our cholesterol levels. If you're trying to balance those a little bit more, increasing your HDL, also antioxidants, which is huge. You know, every day that we're living, we're inundated with pollution from our environment, from our foods, you know, and so antioxidants really help kind of create a buffer for when we're hit with like those pollutants or those free radicals. Antioxidants help restore them.
I can really see where listening to you guys is I might study some of this stuff a little bit more. I mean,
Yeah.
antioxidants is the one thing I jump at.
Mhm.
And I think it's mostly what I know about it is it can help prevent cancer. But you're saying it can, I mean, I drink tea, you know, and green teas, and
Green tea. Okay, yeah.
recently how important that is, and I love drinking tea, but I want to be transparent. So well, so I had a stroke a year ago. So but here's the thing. I am using it to motivate myself to improve even more. You know, that's what I decided. And that's been very exciting. So it's kind of funny to have a stroke and say it's been very exciting. But when you talk about like cholesterol, high blood pressure, you know, that's what brought it on. So yeah, so for example, so I have this new thing about salt. So I had a health practitioner talking about salt yesterday, and I realized that, you know, it would just be good to use less salt, right? And as I thought about it, we ate dinner last night, and instead of salt, we had, you know, kind of more heat in the food.
Like pepper or spice.
More peppers, more spices, and I didn't miss it at all. And I didn't miss it at all. And I keep remembering my father who had to give up salt, and I'm not looking to, you know, give things up, but I like the idea of exploring what's possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some things that I love what you've said right now, Mary, is you showing how open you are, right? You're open to the possibilities of what's next. And I feel like that is something that no matter what age you are, if you feel like you're in a phase of aging or getting older, sometimes we close off, right? And we want life to go how we want it to go. And we know what we know. So there's just, and that in and of itself can develop into a lot more problems because you're not open to the possibilities that are outside of what you've lived so far. And so everything that you've said has just led to, well, it's an experiment. I'm exploring, I'm evolving. And that I think is the magic. And that's how you can age gracefully, when you know that I'm aging regardless. Time is going by regardless. It's how I react to it, how open I am, that dictates my own personal experience. So super cool that
well said. I don't think I would. You just thank you for that. Now I know how to age gracefully. It's so true though. It's so true. You said it well. I mean, you know, we kind of can, you know, that whole thing about getting into a rut or something is and then as you age, you know, like there's that impulse to, you know, I'm right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But what's really great is to be open and see that no matter how old you are, you're learning and you're growing. You haven't stopped. You know.
Unless you choose to, right? There are people that are like,
well, you can, and that's a good point too. If you know, we don't want to say that's the prescription for aging gracefully. Other people have, you know, created their lives a little differently, maybe than we might say. It's always a choice.
Right.
You might as a choice say, I'm not giving this up.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I love the meal preps delivery services. Those I actually have used several of them myself too. Every plate, I haven't tried Blue Ribbon, but Every Plate is more cost effective than HelloFresh. and it's the same company. It's kind of like Old Navy and Gap. They like market to different people. I was getting HelloFresh, and then we're like, oh, every plate is cheaper. Let's try it out. And there was actually times that in our every plate box, there was HelloFresh ingredients, or like it was, labeled HelloFresh. So we did find that they were really convenient. And I think that that is the king, right? Convenience is king when it comes to nutrition. That's why places that are not healthful stay in business, because they're convenient and because they're predictable. And that's what, as humans, it's easy. So we like to thrive on that. Is there anything else that you feel like contributes to your diet being as balanced as it is? You also not giving things up. That's a really good one, like that you're like, okay, actually just tailor it down. That was really cool. But is there anything else that you think contributes to that?
No. I nothing comes to mind.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Nothing comes to mind. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So
but that's where hearing from other people like you guys, actually, really, that's contributing.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll send out a resource email after this. So if you have anything else you want to share, Mary, you can send it to me and I'll send it out to all you guys. If you drop your email, we'll have a form where you can put your email in, and we'll send out all of our resources from this happy hour. Because I have some meal delivery services and ideas we can put in there too. Yeah. Should we move on to movement?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's move on to movement.
Well, so you brought up we're moving and grooving. You brought up motivation, and I feel like that is such a key thing to touch on, like when it comes to eating, healthy, balanced meals, and then also activity. I mean, because you hear that recommended all the time, like older adults. I mean, everyone should be. I don't want to say should, but like being active is really important for anyone, like all ages, right? So I'm curious, like, what types of things do you do to stay active, and also like what motivates you to do those activities?
Well, so the big motivator is I do things that I love.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not, but then and I love what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So so that's key. Like if I feel like I have to do something, and I don't do it. I don't like it. I don't do it. So it's kind of getting a certain mind frame, and so I like to swim, so that's one of the things. And I actually now have started meditating while I'm swimming, and so that's one thing. The other thing that motivates me is my love for my sons. They live on either side of the country, and I like to do things with them. And my youngest son lives in North Carolina on the Blue Ridge Mountains, and he started hiking. So we've started visiting him and hiking, and it was like a dream come true to be aging and hiking on in the mountains, and it's not, he's very kind and looks for spots that we can do, and he's not throwing us on these high things or something, but they're just challenging enough, and we're walking and long enough that we're challenged, and that I love it. I'm finding I love it, the challenge. As it's kind of like makes me think of flow, in motivating yourself. You want to find something that challenges you, but you don't want it to challenge you too much, because you're not going to enjoy it if you do that.
Right. You don't need to suffer. Right?
Absolutely not.
You don't need to suffer to have results.
Absolutely not. I mean, suffering is over. I'm done with it.
There's like that sweet
not believe
spot.
in suffering. What?
Yeah.
There's that sweet spot. I think like what you're saying with the flow state, it's like what is the, if you look at it on like a graph, there's like the skill level you need, and then the, what is it, Joelle?
Challenge.
Like the challenge. Yeah. And there's just that sweet spot where it's like not too hard, but it's still like, you know, a little challenging mentally to do. Yeah. And then you're in that flow zone. I need to, I'll pull that up. Yeah.
Yeah. There's, you've seen the book Flow, or have you read?
Yeah.
And the guy who founded Flow passed away recently, but he also wrote a book on creativity that's wonderful. And I have a hard time remembering his name because it's very complicated. It's like
it starts with a C, I think.
Yeah,
right?
It does. I had a mnemonic that I was using to remember it, but he Flow. If you look for books on Flow, his name, it's like Treskanitska or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. Nichole, maybe, I think it is.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Okay. I have to, can't take credit for this. Julia is apparently close enough that she's hearing us right now. This is her. She just handed it to me. I've never read it, but this is the guy.
Well, who's that one by? Who's that by?
Yeah, what's the name?
Who's that by?
Mahali. I'm not trying to say it. It's CSIKSZA. That's it. It's it.
I had some weird lewd way of remembering that name. It has some.
Oh my gosh, we'll have to have Julia on and share her thoughts on that book.
Oh, it's
there. It is.
Yeah, there she is.
Perfect.
Oh, Mihaly.
There.
She's.
Yeah, love that.
I have to work on that name again. I had it down a few years ago, but.
I thought my daughter's name was hard. That's a hard one.
But his book on creativity, it's dense.
Okay.
But if you want that, if you like reading, it's really it's great. He takes every kind of practice or thing you do, and he dissects it and talks about flow. I really loved it. But the flow book is kind of
it's called Creativity, Flow, and the Psychology of Discovery and Invention.
Oh, I'm so glad that you have internet.
That is so
I don't have to
be fair for y'all
do
too.
I just have
his
to...
first name and then type the letter C. Google is like, here it is. So yeah, you just need to know the C and his first name, Mahali.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah,
thank you for that. I haven't read either of these yet. So that's
it's a wonderful idea, and it really is.
I think that whole concept too is important and honestly timeless for everyone. People that are younger than me think that the gym has to suck. Like, I can't get results unless I hate my life there, and then maybe I can like my life here. And that's pretty much anti-health esteem for me anyways. I'm like, you should enjoy all of it. And it doesn't mean that there's sometimes exercises that you're like, wow, this challenges me more today than I really want to. That's
I'm not going to do it.
right. I mean, you can not do it, or you can say, maybe I'm going to change my range of motion a little bit and just, see what I can accomplish. But the whole idea of finding that sweet spot challenge is something that I think is a timeless concept, and the majority of people haven't learned it yet. So I love that that's what you brought up.
Well, they're going to soon, aren't they? Because there you are.
Absolutely.
You don't have to suffer to be healthy.
I love what you said, Mary, about doing things that you enjoy too. And so you brought up like walking and swimming. And walking, I think, is totally overlooked. Like, if there's nothing else you can do in your day, if your day is packed, and maybe it's just parking farther away when you're at the office, or I used to work in an office building with Jackie there actually, and it just would take the stairs on like my lunch break kind of thing. So like any type of movement, the NEAT movement, right? Where you're just
the what movement? What? Neat. What?
Neat. Yeah. Non-exercise activity thermogenic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's essentially just having more time in your day that you're moving, even though outside of exercise time. Actually recently one of the girls on our team, she said, I'm really struggling with what I feel like is the last 10 pounds. And she's early 40s, definitely goes ham when she does her workouts. And our friend had to say, well, but you've been sitting a lot. Like she's corporate America, stay at home work, but she's been sitting a lot. So she said, what are you doing outside of your dope workouts? Like, what else are you? So she got a standing desk, and now she got like a little treadmill. So she doesn't use it constantly, but those things all add up, and we don't credit them enough because again, we're thinking gym work, physical work has to be hard. But ultimately, all of those things add up. So just even parking far away adds up, right? And those types of things contribute to an overall healthier body, and then therefore healthier lifestyle and healthier mental state too. And they shouldn't be discounted.
Right.
Absolutely.
Have you ever noticed? I think a lot of elders are now wearing watches and counting their steps. You notice?
Yeah.
We're counting my husband counts his steps. I wear mine. It doesn't quite work. So I have to check it out with him, how many steps. Oh, I must have done. But yeah, that's kind of along those lines. And and I think that like 10,000 steps, which I'm not, some days I do that, but not every day. Not every day. But
I think 10,000 is a good standard to shoot for. But I will also say, if your average is 4,000 or 5,000, maybe just see if you can get a couple hundred or 100 more than you did yesterday. That is like probably the easiest place to start. Is just whatever your average is, just do a little bit more today than yesterday.
That is you guys are great with that. That is always, that's kind of been my problem, is kind of a more global thinking. Like, I had to do 10,000. I couldn't just be okay with 5,200 or something. That's been something I've dealt with over the years, and I've kind of learned that about myself.
Perfectionist mindset.
What's that?
That perfectionist mindset of I have
perfectionist, and also breaking it down. Isn't that kind of a coaching principle? You break it into small, you break it down. If something is overwhelming, you break it down. And like painting our house. We're painting rooms in our house.
Okay.
And I mean, yesterday we painted maybe for an hour. And we got a lot done. But that was enough.
Right. There has to be that satisfaction in the process, right? No matter what it is that we're doing, the satisfaction in the process, and knowing that it's okay that not all of it happened today, that doesn't have to be standard.
Right.
Definitely. And we're talking about movement too. Jules actually was listening to a podcast recently, and this blew my mind, but it makes total logical sense that there is a sync. There is a relation, I guess. I'm missing the word I want to say, but there is a word correlation. Okay, there's where it was. I was like, I'm not.
Oh my God, young people have missing words too. Okay.
Yes. It doesn't matter what age you are, Mary. I miss some words all the time. There's a correlation to living longer with leg strength. At first you're like, oh, okay. But immediately I'm like, well, if I can't trust my legs to hold me up, if I am worried about whether or not I'm going to fall in the shower or on the stairs or all of these things, imagine the turmoil that's happening with my mental state. I don't feel like I can trust my own body. Of course, I'm not going to last very long. Right? Like, it's just, it didn't even have to go deep for me to be like, oh, that makes perfect sense. The more I can trust my body to carry me, the more likely I'm going to live a long time. And it's just something that we make excuses for, I think, right? Like, oh, well, I'm old now. I don't need to move. Like, I just I don't do a lot anymore because I'm old. Like that is things that I hear a lot when I talk to people that are not, I don't even have an age that's old in my mind, but they'll be older than me. And so they're like, oh, you know, you young thing is the attitude. And it's like, that's not, we don't need to be lifting the same weight or doing the same exercises for us both to be improving and strengthening and securing our body with age, right? Knowing that my body's going to be able to take care of me as I get older. So it's really interesting to think about prioritizing that. And it doesn't mean that you have to be a gym rat when you're 70. It doesn't. It just means that you have to be thinking about what affects you and whether or not your physical body is able to do the things that you personally have energy or want to have the energy and the skill and the strength for. So maybe you're not an outdoorsy girl and maybe you're like, I couldn't care less about going on a hike, but you have grandkids that are running around and you're like, oh man, as soon as they get on the floor, it's over because I can't get up and down the floor. So that's your motivating factor, right? That's the piece that goes, I need to make sure that I am strengthening myself in order to have that be easier, not and accepting the progress on the way, right?
You
I
mean
love
getting
that.
off the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, there is correlation between being able to live a long time and getting up and down off the floor.
Well, I'm pretty
Yeah.
good at that, so I feel
There
good.
you go.
When you
Perfect.
swim, when I swim, instead of taking the ladder,
Mhm.
you know, I hoist myself up on the side
Yes.
and then I get myself up. And so this brings up the whole issue of looking good. Cause you know, I don't think I necessarily look good when I'm like, I mean, it's almost like what I do is it's almost like a yoga exercise or something. I mean, I really use the floor for support. I get down on my hands and knees. Then, you know, that upward, what is it? Dog and you know, there's that hole where your hands and knees are, your hands and feet, you kind of a V, and you know, that's part of a yoga exercise, and then you push up. That's I feel, you know, I do that, and it's you know, it wasn't always, you know, that way. I could, you know, just kind of hop up like you guys, I'm sure probably can just hop up.
I'm still a hot mess crawling out of the pool. I'm like,
okay.
flopping out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, I don't know that. I guess the point is, because we're kind of generally looking at this whole issue of aging gracefully. And you know, one of the maybe what would we call it? I don't have the word now. I don't have a word. One of the barriers to aging gracefully is how we feel about how we look. Isn't that that's kind of like says it all in a way?
That's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it is. Because we have this thing, my husband and I say to each other sometimes. We haven't said it for a long time, I guess. But looking good is everything. We want to look good. We always. And you know, what constitutes looking good is not the same at 70 as it is at 30.
Yeah, your definition evolves, would you say, over time as we age? Like
I think there's a part that it's spiritual. I have to say. So there's a spiritual aspect to aging where I think maybe there's some, you know, there's a God force or something that's giving us help. You know, so that I'm finding myself accepting my body you know,
Mm-hmm.
more really
Yeah.
than I did when I was younger.
Mm.
I'm not, you know, so that like kind of blows me away, you know.
Well,
And
Yeah.
what you're
yeah.
saying is bringing up for me, like, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I feel like ultimately when we feel good, we look good.
Yes.
At least to ourselves. So if you're doing the things that you're like, man, we're feeling good about how we're aging, how we're evolving as humans inside and outside, then what I see is going to be pleasing to me, right?
Right.
Because I feel so good. It would be really hard to, and that's why people who look good to others, right? You see a 20-year-old and she's flawless, she's a model, and she might not feel good. So in her head, she doesn't look that good, even though her job might be on looking good. So obviously she is. And that's something that I think is a really magical way that you said it too, that like, it's so much more than just how the eyes see, what other people see. But you can still have that be your focus, knowing that it's because you feel good that you look good.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like that song, isn't there? Whose song is that? I love it so much. The about models and how someone's always losing weight to be accepted, and she's. But
Oh, I
do
don't know
you know that it's a popular song? It was popular. Yeah. Well, you're gonna have to Google it because I don't remember the name. Well, and you know, I mean, and when you think about like who's the singer that's big?
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, there are, aren't there now? I think there's something happening that's really positive, and that's that body image. It's so important that we accept our bodies, that we're not ashamed of our bodies, that they don't, you know, I mean, it's so,
It's
the
a hard
media is brutal. What?
It's a hard thing to do, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she has I think, Joelle, you have a point. You know, like maybe focus on, well, I don't know. I mean, it is hard to do in there, but focus on what you're doing physically that feels good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
You
all
know,
the
like even a walk.
oh yeah, all the things that your body does do for you. Oh, I couldn't hear you, Raina. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm muted. I was going to say that brings up for me gratitude. So I
Mhm.
think something to do as we continue to age is noticing all the things that you've done and having gratitude for that. So if it's getting up out of the pool, you know, not using the ladder and like instead pushing yourself up, just having that moment where you're like, I'm so grateful that I had the arm strength to like push myself out of here. Or Joelle, you talking about like having leg strength. I mean, and visualizing like this is my foundation. These are my roots. I'm so grateful for my feet. They walk me around everywhere and like get me up to where I need to go every day. So I think that can be another kind of tapping into that spiritual side
Right.
and building up that self-love, that self-confidence, and seeing yourself as like, I'm still this beautiful human. I'm aging and like, wow, I made it to 70 years old and like, look at what I've done in my life. And thank you, body, for coming on this journey with me.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I was just riffing on that. So
No,
I want to.
you're absolutely right. I think I see that gratitude is, you know, one of the great. I write at night in a journal every night, and because I'm afraid I'll go to hell if I don't. But anyway, because there's still a little Kathy in there. But it's a gratitude journal, and I look at my day and I look at what I'm grateful for. I also found that I can look to the future and see what's coming that I'm not real excited about, and I can find where I'm grateful in that.
Oh yeah.
So that I don't wake up the next morning and I have some horrible thing that I'm not looking forward to. You know, I can, you know, like be grateful that I'm going with friends to Chicago this weekend instead of focusing on the trip down or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Finding the little things.
Yeah.
Can you, I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Can we move to the mindfulness piece? I know, Mary, you
Sure.
wanted to share the welcoming prayer exercise. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. So,
We have
is
time
there
for the
anything else you
exercise.
want to say though, Jackie? Because you look like profound thought about. Okay, good.
No.
Okay, because I got it. It's the
No.
challenge. Loving yourself and your body is a big challenge. It
Right.
really. And yeah, there's no easy answers. You just keep working at it.
And I think it like just a little more add there. It doesn't have to be in this place of delusion, right? I don't have to be like, I know that my body is perfect. Everything about it is flawless and I should be on the cover of every magazine. It's not that type of love, right? It's love for the things that our body does do for us, the things that we do love, the thing like my stomach has stretch marks on it. That gave me a beautiful child. Like there's always a silver lining. And when we put our attention on those things, the physical body will respond with elevation and evolved. And so I think that's too, when I say health esteem, that's what it's all about, is focusing on the love parts, because then the less I think about my physical results when I am even being physical, the more physical results I get. It's magic because I'm focusing on, wow, I'm moving because I love how it makes my mind feel. I love that I do feel strong, but I'm not saying I need to get bigger biceps, right? And yet somehow they're getting magically bigger, even though my focus is on not them. It's on how blessed I am to even have the opportunity to move that way, right? Really cool. Good stuffs.
Good. Yeah. Mindfulness. That's almost like mindfulness. I'll give you the exercise, but because I find gratitude, mindfulness, it's like we fall asleep all the time throughout the day. And so we forget what we have to be grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing like really yesterday I had this experience with my husband. I was sitting, we sit in the morning a lot for a long time, and we write in journals and we read and stuff like that. And we really get our day started kind of at our pace at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost 12 o'clock and we hadn't really gotten going or anything. And I was about ready to criticize us for that and criticize my husband. And I stopped and I realized, I said, you know what? I love my life. This is fabulous, and so it's really that switch, like that awakening to the how wonderful life is. And of course there's plenty to complain about. Believe me, I have plenty to complain about. And I guess the welcoming prayer, if I do that, I'm trying to think how to start that. But so do you have a question first? Does anybody have a question? And then I'm a little self-conscious, but yeah.
Yeah. So I think kind of the question is maybe like, what do you do to take care of yourself emotionally and mentally? Especially when maybe those doubts start coming in, or just, like if you're feeling self-critical or not like loving and accepting of where you're at, especially as we age. How do you take care of your mental and emotional health? And maybe this type of that?
Yeah. Well, so this thing I'm talking about, centering prayer, is part of a spiritual kind of religious practice that I've done for like about 10 years. And it is grounded in Christianity, though I'm Jewish. It's meditation, like mindfulness. It's a meditation. And so which there are, you know, a zillion meditations out there, right? And the bottom line is do it. You can do it anywhere, anytime, any position, really. You can, I've seen that online, you know, you find just, there's a zillion ways to meditate. This happens to be one of mine. And there's something called centering prayer that I use a lot, besides meditating throughout the day. And that's where, and I think it's fundamental even to Buddhism, that you know, we resist. So when you wake up in the morning and you have some negative ideas or thoughts about, you kind of wake up in a bad dream maybe or something, and you don't like it, and you want it to go away, and so instead, but what the welcoming prayer is about is that instead of resisting it, so you can apply this to wherever, like there might be some resistance to anger, or some resistance to grief, or some resistance to exercise or eating right, you know, all that. You actually focus and welcome the thought or the experience. You open yourself to it. It's you know, you allow it in. You allow it in. And it's called the welcoming prayer because you're welcoming it. And then, because the minute you resist, you're you know, it's like a Buddhist idea about you're angry about being angry, or you're sad about being sad, or you know, there's always that double thing that's going on with us. And this is letting that top layer go. So by welcoming it, so you can welcome that you're angry, say towards your husband, just as an example. And then once you've welcomed it and you've focused on it, you focus in and you welcome it, you can actually explore, take a little time to explore. And that's where you can learn a little bit about it, you know, kind of explore the boundaries of you know, like, where is the feeling? It might be a feeling, you know, or a particular thought, you know, you can explore it and kind of get under it a little bit. And then you let it go, because you don't want to get you don't want to get caught in it, you know.
Sure. You
don't want to create a new pattern.
How do you let it go though? Like,
that's a good question. Because that's so key to all of life is letting go. So how do I let go? I just think let go of it. I mean, I guess there's no how to. It's almost like an intention, or I just think, or a thought, or I just like, okay, I'm gonna let it go.
You just say those words in your head. Like,
I would say that's a great question. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
I think, like, once you're deep in it, a good question that you might ask yourself is, how is this benefiting me right now by holding on to this story, or this anger, or this you know, distaste for myself, or whatever it is that is not serving, right? How is holding on to this benefiting me? Probably isn't.
Right.
And then how is it hurting me? Okay, why? We got to let it go. We got to just, there's no, if there's no benefit, then what's the point, kind of. And that is very surface compared to like how you're probably going to be feeling in this moment of the deep and the spiritual side and the connection with yourself that way. But I don't know. I always think of like the inner child. Like, what would you tell a little kid who's so angry about something that they can't control? And since we are talking about aging gracefully, I'm that's where my head goes, right? Like thinking of, my body can't do what it could do when I was 30. How angry that makes me, perhaps, in this moment. So to let that anger in and let myself feel it for a second and then say, you're never going to be 30 again, and that's okay. Like that feeling of, and that's okay, might be the release there.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. What?
I just want to add one more thing that we had talked about before, Mary, that I think is such a cool thing. Mary has a journal collection. She has notebooks all over her house that are themed. And I just think this is such a great way to be able to, like, I'm queen of writing too much in one book, so I'm having to like find it. And that's why I've moved to mostly virtual things, so I don't have to. But can you tell us a little bit about like your happy book and your inspirational book, Mary?
Yeah, it's something I discovered. It's been years now, but it's because I heard a very famous author talk at the Fitzgerald, and one of the things she said is, I have journals all over the house, and at the time I realized I was like had this idea that I had to like be kind of organized and have each journal address a particular. I mean, I was trying to control my journaling is what I was doing, and it didn't work. So over the years, I'm thinking where's my happy book? It's somewhere around here. I gathered some things around. This is my happy book. So this is one, but I mean, this is one, and then I have I love this one. This is a whole series of you see it at Michael or something. It's 365 days of creativity. You might think, oh my God, I'm gonna have to 365 days every day. I got to do it. That doesn't work for me. I don't know about other people, but I mean, but this is so fun because the exercises are really, really simple, and yet journaling and putting something down on paper can make such a difference. It really can make a difference. Or if someone's boring, I use it. When I'm in seminars, or
I love that. And I think that's the key point. It doesn't have to be writing for.
No,
example.
it doesn't have to be writing.
Yeah.
I love the idea of visual journals.
Yeah.
And I've done some, and there's a lot out about that, but it's like it's like putting the two things together. Sometimes I also believe in doodling. I'm a fine artist. I showed work, stuff like that.
Yes.
But somewhere along the line, it got, I realized doodling helps. It makes a difference. It's fun. It's cathartic. Yeah. So, and then I've got a mindful. Oh, let's take some out.
I just love the idea that, like, if you have them themed like that, even loosely, when you're feeling down, go peek through your happy journal. Go peek through your inspiration journal. Like, that's such an easy fix. It's an immediate change of state, right? We've talked about that before. Change your state, change your stories, change your strategy. It's an immediate change of state when I say, oh, I'm going to just go look through here, and the things that I already know are all going to be happy. They're all going to make me excited. And it's an immediate shift. I love that. Love it.
Yeah.
And for people who aren't creative, I'm talking about myself.
Which I don't believe exists, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, I guess, as far as like, I usually draw like stick figures. Like that's the extent of what comes out when I doodle.
Which is perfect.
Flower. You're right. Yeah, I shouldn't be so, but I really like the mindful coloring books. Like I think then I can see a design and I'm actually like coloring, that's really helpful. I like that.
Yes. I have coloring books. I've done a lot of coloring over my life. It's
all right.
Yeah.
Well, is there any question as we wrap up here? We've been on for about an hour. Oh, Joelle, she has a question.
The state, you change your state, you change your story, or you change your strategy. That was actually in one of Autumn's workouts recently. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so good. Yes.
Love that. Yeah.
State, strategy, and story.
Yeah. So if you find yourself in a hard spot, then you can either change your state, remove yourself from the situation, go outside, go do something different. You can change your story, what you keep telling yourself about this, right? Oh my gosh, every time at work, they always do this to me.
Yeah,
or you change your strategy. How am I going to cope or handle this? Because it does seem to happen often. And when we give ourselves those shifts, then we have more control, right? We take what we do have control over it and we amplify that.
I love change your story the best of all, because we can imagine. I have a little plaque about imagination. We can imagine anything. So like when you change your story, it doesn't, you usually look to have it fit reality. Forget it. It doesn't. Anyway.
Yep. No, it's real. It is.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for coming on. Mary, it was such a pleasure to have you. What a blessing to get to hear from your perspective. I know that that's really valuable to us and to everybody that's here, and we'll watch it in the future too. Don't forget, we're going to do another Healthy Happy Hour, of course, every 2 weeks. We have not planned our topic, I don't think, Miss Raina, have we?
We have not.
Oh, okay, so that's a surprise. Keep a lookout on our social medias because we'll be posting soon. And we love sharing wellness for the everyday person. Our goal is to make healthy living more accessible and simple. If you feel called to support us in this venture, we will drop our Venmos here in the chat, and you can buy us a mocktail, and we'll shout you out next time. Thank you guys for coming. Keep a lookout in your emails for the resources that we'll be sending from this and for our future reminders. Do you have anything else to add, Miss Raina?
Yes, we are having a May giveaway, which
oh my goodness, I forgot. Yes.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about healthy habits and self-care too, specifically. And Joelle and I had this awesome idea, just to give back to you guys. I mean, we appreciate you showing up, putting your time and energy here. There's so many other things you could be doing. Also for all of you watching the replay. And we want to customize a little self-care box. Like Joelle and I have been shopping in the local community. Like I've been in Arizona and Minnesota. Joelle is over there in Colorado, and we're going to come together and put this little customized box for you. And all we're asking in order for you to enter to win this self-care box is to share the Healthy Happy Hour. So maybe a takeaway that you've had, or some new habit that you're trying out. You can share either, through email and just CC us, or if you want to tag us on social media, we can send you our handles or whatever with that as well. I'll send it out in the follow-up email so you can read about how to enter. But yeah, we want to pick someone at our next Healthy Happy Hour. So I believe it's going to be either June 5th or June 6th, somewhere around there. And we'll announce who's going to win that self-care box. It's going to be really, really awesome. We're putting a lot of cool stuff in it.
Yes, so excited. Yeah, I think the Tuesday is the 6th.
Yeah,
so,
cool.
Yeah, I was like, Jackie's got her calendar ready.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's it. That's all I have to say. Anything else, Joelle?
No, that's perfect.
Okay.
Such a blessing to have you all.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mary.